Welcome to the MAPcast, where we shine a spotlight on leaders in the B2B space who have invaluable experience and insights to share for entrepreneurs, current business owners, anyone that really is attacking the B2B space. Today, we're talking to Jimmy Lewis, the CEO of True Focus Automation. Great to finally meet you, Jimmy.
Likewise.
Just kind of give us an overall feel of how you ended up where you are now.
Okay, well, I'll try to be brief, but sometimes I drag things out. So about 7.5 years ago, my partner, who is a former colleague of mine, he's based in India. We worked together in a very large outsourcing company, and we were specifically focused on taking on title insurance and mortgage related processes for this outsourcing company. So I managed the sales side of things for this company for about 10 years. After that, I exited and decided to start my own company onshore, providing the same outsourcing services. And that was something I did with my wife for about 3 years. And between that time, we kept in touch, my partner, and he helped that prior employer launch their RPA practice, robotic process automation. And he reached out to me and said, "Hey, Jimmy, I've been with them about 20 years. I'm ready to do my own thing. And I think you've got some pretty good connections in this space. And I have this tech know-how now, as well as the operational side. And that's how True Focus Automation came to be. And so for about the last, like I said, 7.5 years, we've been automating all things title and escrow, even some appraisal and mortgage processes to help our clients in the real estate space, specifically the US, automate manual, repetitive, time consuming, and error prone back office processes. So everything from maybe opening new orders to running the title searches to all things in between and all the way up to closing, quality control reviews and such. So that's kind of how I got into the space. I'm not really the tech expert. I'm more of the business relationship and the oversight, handling the finances, and my partner pretty much handles all of the operational development side of things.
Okay. So beyond title search, what was your background prior to doing this?
I've been in a lot of different areas, but for the last 23 years, I've been in the mortgage and title space. So prior to that, I mean, I sold everything from I worked my first position out of grad school was with Hormel Foods. So I sold deli meats for 2 years. So that's how I got my sales acumen, I guess, or background. I was in Dallas and in the Orlando markets, working for Hormel Foods, selling deli meats and pork products. And then after that, I kind of transitioned into the telecom space where I worked for one of the large Baby Bells. It was up in Iowa, pretty much handling customer service and operational management. I had a big team up there. It was a union shop. And then I got hired by Nokia and they transitioned me back down to Dallas, which is where I am today. So my background prior to all this was more like project management, program management, and sales. Some in the tech space, some in like the consumer product space. But about 2003, I think I was let go from my last role in the tech space. It was a big internet company called Genuity. They filed bankruptcy, and I was one of the last, probably 3 or 4 project managers there. And I said to put me on the list. I'm not moving to Colorado, and I ended up starting a mortgage brokerage shop with my wife, and that's how I got into this. And then it morphed into me handling sales for an outsourcing company, and then here we are in 2026, managing a tech company building bots.
Yeah. So how competitive is your space? I mean, I imagine title search is very competitive, but
Yeah.
what are kind of your differentiators? And
So we're in the tech side now. So we're not really necessarily, I don't want to say competing with, say, title companies who are title search providers. But what we're trying to do is make their jobs easier, faster, more efficient. So for us, we have a lot of competition now because everyone's seeing the AI use cases. A lot of startups are coming in there with capital behind them, and we pretty much built this up with our own cash. But I would say there's probably 4 or 5 companies that are trying to do some of what we're doing, but they tend to focus on 1 or 2 specialties, like I said, order creation or closing disclosures, or they may build a voice bot that could potentially help communicate closing information with your clients or give them updates on the status of their file. So for us, we're looking at end to end. So our clients are saying, "Hey, I've got this process. It requires a lot of data entry or a lot of research, and it's time consuming. And in this market we're in with title insurance, a lot of folks who've been doing this, they've been in it for a while. So they're kind of aging out. And a lot of the younger people think this is a boring space. So they don't want to get trained up on it. So if you don't have the pool of resources that you had, say, 10, 15, 20 years ago, how are you going to keep up with the growth? And that's why we're replacing these automation solutions. So clients aren't necessarily replacing their staff, but they're making them more effective or efficient, or freeing them up so that they can do other things like, reach out to the client, maybe take some training or focus on quality control reviews, things of that nature. But as far as the title search, yeah, it is some competition out there, but it's mostly in-house teams doing it, offshore teams. There's some onshore teams who are kind of focused on that. And even a lot of those are trying to build their own. But for us, like I said, we've got the operational background in the title search space. So we just went out and looked at websites and platforms that would allow us to do it digitally with these RPA and AI solutions. So yeah.
I imagine once you've done particularly RPA development, you become pretty sticky in the accounts that you have. So you probably don't have a lot of turnover, I would imagine.
Well, we don't, but I will say, we have had turnover, and typically this is how it happens. Either a company is acquired, there's a lot of acquisitions. So they're acquired by somebody who either has their own tools in-house, or they're using a different production system than what we've built works on this production system, because a lot of what we build is custom. We do have some out of the box solutions like the title search thing I mentioned to you, Title Hunter.
Right.
But a lot of our stuff is built custom, meaning we offer our clients the ability to say, this is my workflow. If it's been standardized, it's mature, or maybe it isn't, we'll give some suggestions on how to make it more mature and standardized. You tell us what you want automated. We quote your price. We build it. You own the code. That's the model that we tend to work in. You own the code. You keep us engaged to do change requests or monitoring or do some reporting if you don't have it in-house. A lot of people don't have this skill set in-house. And so that's typically how we're growing. So yes, there are companies who have left us only because they've either acquired a company who has the same skills that we do, or they've been acquired, or we had a really large company that was really kind of refinance focused. And when after COVID, things kind of dried up on that, the interest rates started going up. So that dried up. They really just didn't have a lot of volume. So they just brought everything in house because they didn't need the outside support. So that's typically what we're doing. But you're right. We do have a lot of companies who, they build one or two bots, and then their employees get excited and say, well, can you automate this? What about this? And we've got a couple of pretty long-term accounts that we built upwards of 30 bots for them.
Wow. And how have the large language models and the more advanced AI technologies that are out now, have those kind of impacted your business, your growth strategy? Or are you incorporating those? Do you find them challenging? How do you see that whole?
Well, we're definitely incorporating them. About 3 years ago, we kind of stumbled upon the ChatGPT like everybody else did. And we did some quick tests. We're like, wow, because in the past, we were primarily leveraging like intelligent OCR tools. Meaning, hey, we've got a document or a package of documents. We want it to be sorted through, organized, data extracted. It's a lot of training going through that one by one and doing the rubber banding where you're capturing the data. So the next time the system knows, okay, this is where it's at and this is what it looks like now with the GPTs and such. The LLMs, you don't need to do any of that. Well, not any of it, but some of it. But for the most part, we are leveraging that in addition to the RPA, the robotic process automation solutions that we're using. But we're primarily leveraging that for document understanding, extracting information from the documents. And it's been really helpful because that's really the piece that we were missing. In the past, up until maybe 2-3 years ago, we were able to gather all the information that the client needed, let's say for a title search. I'm just throwing that out there. And we'd give them the package. And then you'd have to have a human in the loop to kind of, review the package and extract information and key it into their own internal production system. So now what we've done is we still have that human in the loop that does the examination. They're using their knowledge to say, yes, this is Jimmy Lewis, and we've searched the right name. These documents are pertinent to him or to the property, and these aren't. We're able to now leverage an AI layer to kind of sort through and categorize this is pertinent, non-pertinent, or needs more review. And those get kicked out for a human to review. So we've leveraged that quite a bit because the space that we're in, title, mortgage, real estate in general, highly unstructured documents. You've got thousands of lenders out there, whether it's a bank, credit union, or just a mortgage lender. And then we've got 3,300 plus counties in the United States that record things different. So the stamp might be here instead of in the top right corner, it's in the bottom left-hand corner, or whatever it may be. So using AI, you can just basically, hey, here's a bunch of deeds. I don't care what county or state. they're from, and the AIs are intelligent enough to understand, hey, here's the buyer, seller, or here's the legal description of the property, here's the date it was executed or recorded. All that information can be extracted at a much higher confidence level than it was in the past. So we're actively using AI, and it has changed the game a bit, but for the better, for sure.
Yeah, my business as well. So if you had to pick one thing that's working really well for you right now in the business and what's been really frustrating, what would those two things be?
I think the one thing that's probably working really good now is we've made an active effort to try, if possible, move away from the commercial RPA tools. Like, I'm not saying it's not useful, so, but like the tool that we primarily use and leverage is built by a company called UiPath. And we're trying to transition away from that because typically at least in the manner that we're leveraging it, UiPath is good and it basically does things sequentially. Like, again, go back to the title search. You run one name, then you run the spouse's name. Then you go and pull the property taxes. Then you go and pull the assessor information. Then you do a lien and judgment search. We've transitioned away from that to using Python, which does require more time with coding. But we're building scripts now and with Python where I can run, if there's 4 sellers on the property or 4 buyers, I can run all 4 names at once. I can run multiple parcels at once. I can run the tax search, the lien and judgment search, the bankruptcy search. I can run it all at once. So instead of doing, say, maybe it takes 20 minutes to run one of these, I can do 3 an hour with, say, that UiPath solution. With Python, we can run 30, 40, 50, as many as we want. It allows us to kind of staff up, or I say staff up with our digital bots, but you can increase your instances, your server instances, and then shrink them back down when you don't need them, when the project's done or when the spike is decreased. So I think that's something that's been really helpful for us, and we're leveraging it. I will say the one thing is on the other side, what we're having some challenges with. There's a lot of people in our space, like I said earlier, who are, maybe not necessarily have the industry domain knowledge, but they have some tech knowledge and they have some funds behind them. And so there's a lot of noise in the market where people are saying we're doing this, we're doing that, and it may not be exactly what the client is wanting. So I think it makes it a little bit more challenging because everybody's saying they're leveraging AI now and automation when they're not necessarily doing that, but it's a good sales tactic. And so I think that's one thing that's kind of been a little frustrating the last couple years. But hey, I mean, everybody's free to come in and see, what they're able to offer to the market, and so no different than us.
Do you find that specifically what you do is crowded?
I would say, like I said, I think there's people in the space who do pieces of what we do. We're probably one of the only companies, if not the only one, that'll say, give us any process and we'll tell you if we can automate it, and we'll automate it. A lot of people in our space are automating like 1 or 2 or 3 processes or workflows. We're doing anything. We've built, I think we just recalculated. We built, I think, close to 840, 850 bots. Out of that 840, 850, all but say 100 are probably title search, property tax related, lien release tracking related. The rest are like unique workflows, like whether it's a reconciliation process or QC process or strictly extracting data, people helping people build, say, a title plant, which is an online database of property records. That's really what our focus is. We can do a little bit of all that because we have the knowledge. And what we're doing is really, to be honest, industry agnostic. We can go to any industry, but we have all of our experience and expertise in title, mortgage, real estate. So we focus on appraisal and a lot of other areas, but everything is primarily all related to the mortgage transaction or the real estate transaction. And so I think, that's kind of how we're a little bit different. Everybody else, like I said, has a specialty here and there, but we have our specialty.
More of a holistic consultative type offering, sounds like. So what metrics are you most focused on improving within the company right now? Where do you see that you could stand some improvement?
Probably the quality scores. I will say this, and I'm saying quality, meaning quality in the sense that AI. So we're leveraging AI, and people want to always know, well, Jimmy, how accurate is it? We know it's roughly 80, 90 plus percent. But our goal is to say, we're not trying to replace your staff. You understand? So let's just say you have a process that takes 10 minutes. We're trying to reduce that to where maybe the human side of it only takes 2 minutes. Automation is finishing the other 8. So I think we're probably trying to get better at presenting that metric as to how accurate is the information that we're extracting from these documents and submitting to the staff, because everybody wants some sort of confidence score. We really haven't leveraged that to date. That's really where we're probably missing. And I think we really need to implement that, because that's one of the first questions people always ask when we get into calls and we start talking about AI. And we've even built our own LLM, not a large language model, but like a local language model, because we've had clients who are saying, hey, I don't mind you using Gemini, Claude, GPT, whatever it is, for like public records that anyone can go online and find out what your mortgage is, who your deed is, if you got a lien or a judgment against you. But when I have a purchase agreement, a contract, I don't want that going out there, because there's some pretty proprietary information on there. Who's buying it, who's selling it, what amount, what the terms are. So we built our own LLM that we're hosting, and we route all things that are a lot more, say, proprietary or confidential through that. So I think that's really helped. But again, we do need to put some metrics around, what the quality score is, and how confident we are in the accuracy, because a lot of people are saying, well, Jimmy, you're just giving me the data, which is great, but I'm still probably going to have to go through maybe and look at each line item individually just to make sure that the name was spelled correctly. So we're pretty close to coming up with green, yellow, red right now, but we don't have that. Oh, it's 98% or it's 90% and above, or this is 50% and below. So you need to look at it. I think that's where we're probably missing as far as the metrics that we're struggling with today.
That would seem to be quite a bit of development around something like that, right?
It is, yeah. And there's other people we could potentially partner with. We've talked to one or two, but we're trying to build this more for our specific use case. And so I think we should probably be focused on that. We're getting there. We're just not there yet.
So you told me a little bit about what your window is, a couple of years from now in our earlier discussion, but where do you see yourself, where do you see the company 6 to 12 months from now?
Well, to be honest, we're trying to focus a lot more on the mortgage, maybe not origination, but the servicing side of the business, because we're primarily title insurance, title related heavy right now. So in 6 to 12 months, we got a couple opportunities we're working on now in the pipeline, but we'd like to be focused on maybe supporting mortgage lenders, originators, servicers, credit unions, who not only have a need for some of the solutions we've already built, but maybe more custom solutions. So that's the goal. Right now, we're primarily focused on title, but we're looking to go into mortgage. I'm also got a gentleman helping me with some leads in the legal space. There's a lot of large law firms out there that do. They're in the real estate side of things, and what we do is kind of a crossover. So why not take that knowledge that we have and support folks who are in legal real estate firms, and they have a specialty there. So that's really where we're looking to go the latter part of this year.
Oh, fantastic. No, I think that's probably going to work out real well for you. I've worked with Baker and Botts here in the Houston area quite a bit.
My daughter actually works for a law firm down there, so I'm trying to.
There's a bunch of us. I could tell I could get 2 or 3 law.
All right.
Yeah. So how's sales? How are sales right now? Is that a
challenge?
Sales
are better. Yeah, it is. I'm primarily the salesperson at this point. Again, we're a fairly small company. I haven't shared that, but we're just under 40 folks. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty much the business relationship person. So if we're going to a conference, it's probably going to see Jimmy there. I do have support, with my team who knows a lot about. They help with like demos and things like that, but primarily I'm the person helping with sales and lead generation or handling all that. So yeah, it's been a challenge the last, say, few years. I would say the last year has picked up a lot, and this year even more. But when we had all these issues with the rates going up and volume, the mortgage volumes going down, it's kind of a catch-22. People are saying, well, Jimmy, I'm so busy, I don't have time to talk to you or implement any automation or talk to you about this. And now it's like, well, I don't have any volume and the revenues are down, and I'm just trying to focus on maintaining. So we got to find that sweet spot, when they're like, the market is increasing and getting better. They have some pain points where they have a lot of manual work that they just don't have enough people to support them to do it. And they can't grow without having more support. So why not add automation and, again, make your staff 1.5, 2, 3x more efficient? That's really what our sales pitch is. And again, adding the fact that we know the space, because we're not just tech people. We came from the title and mortgage side of business. So you don't have to get us up to speed on what a deed, a judgment is, a title search package, a policy. We know all that. So that's really why I think has really helped us. But I'd say the last year or so, things have really picked up. But 2023, 2022, 23, 24 were some lean years.
Yeah, I understand it. I'm finding there's a lot less friction toward advanced technology.
Oh yeah, everybody's getting more comfortable, and they're not as scared of it taking their job anymore. They're still thinking about it, but I think that fear, for the most part, you still see it in the news and out there. But I think for the most part, they're like, okay, let me see what I can do, and if not, just at least be aware of what it can do. So maybe it can help you in a minor, task or workflow or two, and then you can grow from there.
For sure, for sure. I'm gonna give you a wrap up question now.
Okay.
If you can speak to your younger self before you became CEO of your own company,
Yeah.
let's go back 10, 15 years. What advice would you have for yourself?
Oh man, I'm going to go back further. When I was in college and grad school, I just shied away from computer technology, computer programming, and I wish I would have focused on that and learning another language. I mean, I did take 5 years of German, but I think learning Spanish or Mandarin or, German, French, whatever it is, learning another language, so you can be multilingual because I do travel a lot, but also focusing on the computer programming side. Hey, I'm a marketing guy, business management, and that's what I focused on. So I shied away. If I wanted to come sooner, say, 10, 15 years ago, this is my third basically self-employment venture. I just wish I would have, kind of spent more time learning about what's coming down the road as far as technology. And I really didn't. I was just basically kind of treading water. This is what I'm doing today. Really didn't have the mindset to focus on what's the new technology. And I think everybody, when they saw 3 years ago with the AI stuff coming out,
Yeah.
me as well, that's when I saw, okay, I got to figure something out, because we knew a lot of the manual stuff is going to be automated at some point. But this is what I, share with my kids all the time. And like, hey, you guys need to pick up some of these tools and technology, because even if it doesn't replace, everybody's job, like it says, you can at least be in control of your path and leverage those tools, and whether it's in art or music or a business that you're setting up, you need to be leveraging a lot of these automation AI solutions. So that's really whenever I talk to someone who's kind of just starting out, and whether it's a restaurant business or they're a teacher or whatever, you got to leverage this automation and AI that's available to us today. So
That's exactly the advice. I'm a father of 6 kids, so that's exactly
Yeah.
what I wish I'd done. I wish I'd gone more down the solutions engineer path before I got out of the sales path.
Yeah.
Much less reliant on
Yeah.
on a more technical person, particularly in a sales
Yeah.
environment. So that's great advice.
You're right. Yeah, it is. It's when you're selling and you don't really know all the ins and out, and you have to rely. I mean, it'd be nice to have everything. Of course, that's not really my job to know every single thing. My job is really to kind of set the direction of the company and get in the opportunities. But I really wish I would have focused more on the tech side of things earlier.
No, great advice, Jimmy. And we're out of time today, but thank you so much for joining the podcast. We're grateful to share your insights with our listeners. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Thanks so much for joining us on the MAPcast.
Okay.
Again, we'll be back with you with more of these interviews.
Thanks, Paul. Have a good one.
Take care.
Yeah,
All right.
bye.
Bye.